And we have the first precedent for California for access for people who are institutionalized. I see a tripartite distribution system for California taking place with a pharmaceutical industry, a commercial industry, and finally home grows of small groups or individuals who grow for themselves. And this way we will comply with Health and Safety Code 11362.5. I'm the founder of the California Cannabis Research Medical Group, and this is oriented to studying long-terms of cannabis effects and complying with subject requirements for
out of it was something that just was not there otherwise. So, time went on, and I went on for a PhD, and I started to discover, and in a kind of analogous way to what Lester was talking about with marijuana as medicine, there had already been a tradition there. It's not something new. Similarly, my talking about grass and literature and poetry and writers, there's a whole tradition of this. We're talking at a time when, sadly, Allen Ginsberg and William Burroughs died last year, 2 years ago. They were part of a triumvirate which included Jack Kerouac, and I started reading a lot of Jack Kerouac. I came to Kerouac late. A lot of people read him when they're teenagers. I read him when I was in my 30s, and it was very much, marijuana is very important for Kerouac in terms of his whole poetics, his whole sense of writing improvisationally, getting things down out of the act of improvising that wouldn't be possible by planning them. There's a certain energy that comes from that. There's a certain inventiveness that comes from that. And in Kerouac's list, Essentials of Spontaneous Prose, he has a term, or he has a line, like Proust, be an old tea-head of time. And this is a very interesting quote to my mind, because being an old tea-head of time is not a particularly descriptive phrase unless you have experience with marijuana, it seems to me. And then you know about the effects of slowing down time, of intensifying detail, intensified perception. Like Proust, Kerouac was saying. Proust was a writer who, another Frenchman, who lay in bed a lot of his adult life and simply wrote about memory, loss, intense recollection, and bittersweet remembrance. A la recherche du temps perdu, In Search of Lost Time, is the title of his novel, more known to American readers as Remembrance of Things Past. In any case, marijuana, it seemed to me, and it seemed to Kerouac, who very much modeled himself after Proust, it seemed to facilitate this sense of writing and memory, and particularly sad memory, reflection on loss, investigation of loss. This is a sense that I see in a lot of writers, I'm reminded of a former teacher of mine, Ron Sukanik, who wrote a book called Long Talking Bad Conditions Blues. At one point he has the characters eating a meal in some Lower East Side or Lower West Side restaurant, a meal of sweet and sad shrimp, and he says they were sweet and sad shrimp because they were made with hashish. Sweetness and sadness, go together in a strange way in this kind of marijuana environment, to my mind. I could link up with a lot of other writers, but I think the points are I I just want to sort of add one more thing, I suppose. How much time do I have? Quite a bit of time?
Yes, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. Yeah, Floyd could do a lot in 2 minutes. Well, I guess, want to make one final point then. That marijuana is linked to, or is often talked about in terms of diminished ambition. And in my own case, despite these things, this experimentation, I had a PhD by the time I was 30. I had won the most lucrative public writing grant in the United States by the time I was 31. Now I've been writing and trying to get published. I'm either in a long apprenticeship or a slow decline, I'm not sure. But for me, the sense of ambition hasn't left me. What it's done, because I, like a lot of Americans, grew up imprisoned by a Calvinism I didn't even believe in, but which said to me, if you're not working, you're bad, you're evil, you should be working. And marijuana really lessened that for me. And I've talked to a lot of professional people who smoke marijuana, and they talk about this a lot. They'd say, Christ, if I didn't smoke pot, I'd be insane. And it's true, that this Calvinism is not good for you, but it's there at the beginning. What did Malcolm X say? We didn't land at Plymouth Rock landed on us. It's a different context, but it's the same sort of situation. Anyway, that's my wrap, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Ted. Now, before I go on, I should tell you that we put some of the pieces from the website together. They're out there on the desk there. There was a limit to what Normal could handle in terms of it. So we put 4 of them, and they are Professor Abrams, whom you will hear from last. You heard from Floyd Salas, his piece is in there, Ted Pelton's piece, and the next speaker, Laura Bootwell.
So, thank you, Dr. Grinspoon. This is how I came to Normal, is through Dr. Grinspoon's website. And I'm not a writer, I'm just a pot user. And I couldn't possibly imagine why anybody in this room wouldn't find anything that I have to say interesting, because my story is not unique. Everybody I know smokes pot, everybody here smokes pot, and maybe you're different from the other population that isn't here right now because you're committed enough to the activist part of smoking pot to want to protect that. And this is an awareness that I've only just come to. But it hasn't been just Dr. Grinspoon's site. It's been, I think, learning to practice pot smoking the way I practice my Buddhism that I practice, or architecture, which is what I practice. I'm the first not writer here today. So I guess that's my shtick, is I'm going to tell you about practicing pot so that I can live my life in balance with everything else that I do besides smoke pot. So, let's see. The way that started was, as I became and graduate school has a lot to do with it too. So it was during the recession in '93, and Clinton had just sold out for the first time, and couldn't get a job, and my mother had just died, and I come into work one day, and my boss is like, we gotta design all these houses by the end of the week, and incidentally, I haven't been paid, so I can't pay you, my 2 draftsmen. So me and my friend Greg, and we're like, well, this sucks, but we can't get any other jobs, so we'll just at least get the practice of it. So we worked really hard. We busted our asses for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we were sort of accustomed to this. This is an abuse that happens in the profession of architecture a lot. And my boss says, well, you guys have been really great, and you've helped me out, so here's a pound of marijuana for each of you from his lawyer.